Greetings, mighty companions, and welcome back to Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles with me, Anna Kujawa-Quinn, and you know who, GQ. All right. Well, as we always do on Sundays and Tuesdays, we let the Spirit decide through the random number generator what section in a course we're going to study from. And then we use the random number generator to let Spirit choose what section. And that's what we did tonight. And so apparently this is what Spirit wants us to hear tonight.
Yeah.
And whoever is watching.
Well, it's a good lesson to learn because we hate our ego. We hate the things that are wrong. We're afraid of evil and darkness, but what we're going to hear tonight is quite a different story.
Mm-hmm. We always hear a different story than what we have believed or learned in A Course in Miracles. We always hear a different story.
And so that you that are joining in, as you're listening in, can find your place, we are in chapter 27.
Nope, chapter 13.
Are we?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Chapter 27 was the one we were going to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Chapter 13 and then section 3.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's called the Fear of Redemption.
The Fear of Redemption.
So really what we're going to be talking about is fear of love. You know, the Course in Miracles, you know, we think that we're afraid of loss, and we think we're afraid of loneliness, and we think we're afraid of rejection, and we think we're afraid of pain. But A Course in Miracles says that's not what you're really, really afraid of, right? You don't like the fear and the pain and the rejection and all that, but that's not your deeper fear. And so what we're going to take a look at in today is we're going to take a look at our fear and what's underneath the fear. Our fear and our anger and our hatred is not the hidden. It's hidden, but not for the reason you think. We're going to look at what the fear and the anger and the hatred is also hiding. Okay.
I love how A Course in Miracles always points out common sense truth, which is we think if we just ignore our problem, it'd be like an alcoholic ignoring that they have a drinking problem. Mm-hmm. So if we just ignore the anger, ignore what we're afraid of, or don't look at it, that somehow it'll be okay, somehow to go away, somehow to get fixed. Mm-hmm. If we just don't look at it, if we just ignore it. That's
kind of what we do. That's kind of how we operate. That's our problem-solving approach, unfortunately. Hi, Leanna. Lovely to see you, dear. That's our problem-solving approach. Distraction, don't look, or project it onto somebody else. You know, whatever it is that we feel within ourselves that we don't like, right? That's our way of handling it. So, Course in Miracles teaches us a different approach to that in ourselves that we don't like, or that we're afraid of, or that we feel ashamed of. A different problem-solving approach.
As a people, we seem to have gotten really good at ignorance, of ignoring. That's why we have so many failed marriages. Is we look at our marriage and we just don't want to look at the problems. We don't want to look at the issues. We don't want to understand what bothers us, what frustrates us, what makes us angry in it. We think we know what makes us angry in it.
Yeah.
And because we think we know, nothing ever gets resolved. But if we were to pull away the leaves, pull away the dirt, pull the rocks out of the equation, we start seeing, oh, I see, I've been afraid of this, but it's really this that I'm afraid of. No wonder I could never get it fixed. Because even if I was willing to deal with it, the thing that I think I'm afraid of, you know, even if I was willing to deal with it, I would be dealing with the wrong thing. How can I fix anything if it's not the boats over here. It's this, you know, chain over here that's messed up. Well, tonight, Spirit's gonna take us directly to the source of the issue in hopes that we can get, as in the course title says, redemption, salvation, healing,
freedom,
happiness.
Yeah, so that word redemption, okay, so like we were talking about in today's earlier class, all the terms that you hear in A Course in Miracles, even though they sound like terms that you may have heard in your houses of worship, whatever religion that was, the words that you hear, you may think they sound like the words you've heard in the past, but A Course in Miracles has completely opposite definitions of them. Like, for instance, redemption. We've all heard that word redemption in our religious paths, but redemption really means freedom. It means release from fear. It means, you know, to be free of something that you had been enslaved by. That's
a great point, because we've been taught that the word redemption means to make right something wrong.
Yeah.
I have to be redeemed.
Yes, right.
In other words, I have to make right that which is me wrong.
Right.
Where Anna, when she was typing up the class, she put in the fear of love. Well, what heaven says is we need to make right what has always been right.
Yes.
In other words, we need to make right what you in error made wrong.
Exactly. Your error.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to be redeemed from our fears, you know, and that's what we want. We want to be redeemed from our fear. We also want to be redeemed from our anger and our hatred, because those things we have imprisoned ourselves to by not looking at them. You know, if you're not going to look at something if you're not going to look at an illusion, you become prisoner to it. Whatever you're trying to hide, now you're a prisoner to that, right? Now you're in a prison of the goal of trying to hide that thing. So we're looking at the fear of being released from fear. So we say we don't like fear, but when it comes to, oh, here's a release from fear, we're like, oh, no, thank you. No, that's all right. That's fine. No, that's okay. You know. So first of all, I want to say your outfit tonight is sumptuous. The colors are really rich and delicious. I mean, my eyes are just, you know, having a visual gasm. So just had to say that.
Anna's having live on Facebook a visual gasm. An eye-gasm. A visual gasm.
I just had to say.
I love it.
Yes. And Trisha, I can tell Trisha agrees.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Trisha.
And she knows fashion, so.
I love you,
all right.
Trisha. And you look lovely.
Well, thank you. This hat looked good on.
Too warm
it was too warm.
It looks so.
I know. It looked.
Mountainy.
I know. It made me feel. It made me feel like a badass mountain girl.
You are a badass mountain girl.
I am, but we got a fire behind me, so.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe some of these ideas will cool me down. All right. The fear of redemption, which I am saying the fear of love. We're going to look at our fear of love. And why do we want to look at our fear of love? So that we can stop being afraid of love and stop sabotaging love, stop sending love away. Okay? That's why we want to look at our fear of love, and so that we can heal our fear of love, so that when love offers itself to us and love shows up, which it always does, we can say, yes, thank you. Okay, instead of, no, thank you, I gave it the office.
It'd be as weird as when the lottery ticket shows up in at your front door. You scream and slam the door and run and hide under your bed. That's how ridiculous we are.
That's what we're doing.
That we're literally that afraid of love. We're that afraid of God.
Absolutely. I mean, what happens when you fall in love with somebody, whether it's your new grandbaby or your new child or a beloved romantic partner? What happens, or with a friend, what happens when you fall in love with somebody? usually the thing that happens right after that is total freaking terror, and then all your sabotaging behaviors from the past, all your patterns, they come up. Okay, so it's clear to see that we're afraid of love, right? And this section is going to talk about why we're afraid of love and how do you heal your fear of love so you can stop sabotaging it every time it shows up and offers itself to you for free. Okay? All right. Okay, here we go. You may wonder why it is so crucial that you look upon your hatred and realize its full extent. Yeah, you're right. I do wonder why that's so crucial, because I don't want to do that. That's uncomfortable. That's unpleasant. So apparently it is so crucial that we look upon our hatred and realize its full extent. Okay? And we may also think that it would just be easy enough for Spirit to show us our hatred and then dispel our hatred without the need for us to raise it to our awareness ourselves.
Yeah,
so it'll be so much easier.
Just show us what our hatred is. I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
Oh yes, exactly.
But just go ahead and show it to me,
and then
I'll give you permission to dispel that ugly thing.
Yes, exactly.
That I hate.
Right.
That I have justification to hate, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead and show it to me, and then do all the hard work for it.
Exactly.
Dispel it.
Because I don't really want to look on my hatred, because
I'm kind of busy.
And also because I'm trying to present my mask of being enlightened, a good Course in Miracles teacher. I'm trying to present the mask of see, I'm enlightened. See, I'm woke. I don't have hatred. I don't hate anyone. So that's another reason why I really don't want to look at my hatred and realize its full extent.
If you were to line up 100, Course in Miracles students, teachers, mighty companions, line them all up, and then go down with the clipboard one after another and just take a little survey. Could you give us the greatest thing that you hate? I'll bet out of 100, I'm sure we wouldn't get one single person that would answer it even correctly. We think we know what we hate, but we don't know.
That's right. And we don't want to look at our hate. We don't want to admit that we have hate. It's very unspiritual. It's very unspiritual to say, I hate that, right? I hate myself right now, or I hate them right now. It's very unspiritual. But apparently it's crucial to our advancement in this curriculum that we look upon our hatred and realize its full extent. And you can't get away with just going, you just show it to me and you just spell it for me, Spirit. It doesn't work like that, apparently.
Yeah, I'm busy, Spirit, holding on to all my grievances. Could you do that for me?
Exactly. So apparently, we need to raise it to awareness ourselves. Okay? You can't just say, Holy Spirit, take that away from me, please. Just whatever it is, I don't want to look at it. You take it, Spirit. But it's saying that you need to look at your hatred and raise it to your awareness yourself. Okay?
Because we're the one that created the hatred.
That's right.
With our own doing. And so Spirit can't dispel it for us. We have to be aware of it for it to be dispelled. If we don't know it's even there, then there's no way we can get rid of it.
Yes. I love it. Jean says, gonna have to catch you later out eating taco burritos. Oh, totally understand. I totally understand that.
Burritos.
Exactly. All right.
And I do get that.
We've been there, Don't want to get any of that, chalupa sauce on your phone. He says, but there is one more complication which you have interposed between yourself and the accepting of the truth for yourself that you don't yet realize. All right? And what could that be?
What would that be?
Well, the one thing that you don't realize that you're doing is that we've said that no one will side with fear if they recognize fear.
Yeah, if you recognize, oh, that's what's causing me pain, well, I'm not going to drink that anymore.
Exactly.
Oh, that's what's hurting me, I'm not going to poke myself with that anymore.
Yep.
Then you would, instantly be able to let go of it. But again, when you can't even see it because you're not aware of it, how will you ever deal with it?
You can't.
How will you ever fix it if you don't even know about that issue?
If you can't recognize what it is and what its real cause is, then you can never heal it. You can never heal it.
And how perfect of the scheme of our ego's belief system that we created is we created this solution to be hidden.
Yes.
Because we hid the problem.
That's right.
And we made it look like the problem is over here. And so even if we ever even attempt to fix the problem, we're in the wrong playground.
Yeah.
We can't get it fixed over in the area where it's not. We have to get over to where the problem is in order to have a chance to fix it. You go into the doctor's office, and like me, my knee hurts right now, and I'm showing him my elbow.
Exactly.
And where he's examining my elbow, and just imagine how much we're going to get done, even if we spent months and months
working on
exercising that elbow, building it up stronger, but the problem is still within the members of my being. I have to get down and filter around until I get to the source of the problem.
Exactly. And so saying that nobody will side with fear if they recognize fear. Nobody likes to be afraid, and nobody likes to admit that they're afraid. Okay? But in our disordered state, we are not afraid of fear. Now, we don't like the fear, but it's not our desire to attack that's really frightening us. Okay? Says you are not seriously disturbed by your hostility, which is your anger, your hatred. You're not really seriously disturbed by your hostility. That's not what you're hiding. You're not disturbed by the fact that you got some hatred in there and some hostility. You keep your hostility hidden just because you are more afraid of what your anger and hatred covers. That's what I'm really, I hide my anger, I hide my hatred, I hide my hostility and my fear, not because, oh my God, I shouldn't be that angry, I shouldn't have hatred. No, that's not why you hide your hatred. You hide it because of what your hostility, anger, hatred is covering. Well, I had no idea that my hostility and my anger and my hatred in this situation was actually covering something.
Yeah, I thought it was there because it was the result of what so-and-so did to me.
Exactly. And it says we're not seriously disturbed by our hostility. You know, now maybe your friends may be, but we're not. That's not why we hide our anger and our hatred. We keep it hidden because we are more afraid of what our hostility is covering. Ooh, more afraid of the hidden hostility and anger and rage that I have. More afraid than that. It says you could look even upon your hatred's darkest cornerstone without fear. You could look even upon your ego's darkest cornerstone without fear if you did not believe that without the ego, without that hostility, you would find within yourself something you fear even more than your hostility, your anger. Woo.
Wow.
Dang. So you could look even on your ego's darkest cornerstone with no fear. Imagine that. I mean, truly, it's a scary thing to go look at the depths of the hatred of the ego. Okay? But we could look upon the darkest, deepest cornerstone of our ego without any fear if we didn't believe that without that hatred, without the ego, we would find within ourselves something we fear even more. So I don't want to look at my ego, not because my ego is ugly and scary and mean. I don't want to look, I'm afraid to look at my ego because I'm afraid that
it might be covering something even darker.
Yeah.
Than
Whoa.
even that.
Wow.
Who wants to open up a box of Pandora's unending fear box?
Yes, exactly.
Who knows what could be under there?
It says, you are not afraid of crucifixion. You are not afraid of attack. Your real terror is of being saved from attack. Your real terror is being saved from love. That's our real terror. We're not afraid of the ego's hostility and darkness and meanness. That's not what we're afraid of. Our real terror is of love. Being healed by love.
Yeah. Once again, we line up 100 Course in Miracles students and teachers and mighty companions, and who's going to have that as their answer? What are you really afraid of? I'm afraid of God.
I'm afraid of love.
I'm afraid of love. Like that was everybody's answer down the line. I'm afraid of heaven. I'm afraid of happiness. I'm afraid of joy.
I'm afraid to be free.
You know, and this also falls into that file drawer in A Course in Miracles of you don't have to believe these ideas, because when I hear an idea that tells me that I'm afraid of God, I'm afraid of love, that I'm afraid of redemption, when you're redeemed, you know, from a prison cell, and you're redeemed, you're free, you're set free.
Set free.
What? You're happy, you're joyful, you're
ecstatic.
Freedom is,
That's all I wanted.
Oh boy.
Yes.
And we're afraid of, oh boy. Can you believe that we're afraid of release?
Yes.
Of that, we're afraid of that.
Yes.
And for us, that's why we never could possibly fix it, because we don't believe that. We don't ever think the problem is I'm afraid of release.
Yeah.
You know, we're never going to try to work in that area to fix the problem, because we don't believe that's where the problem is. I'm not afraid of a vacation from anger, Greg. I'm not afraid of a vacation from hate. No, what are you talking about? And that's just like an alcoholic that's in denial.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. That what that alcoholic or addict is exhibiting is that, they perceive themselves to be imprisoned by their addiction.
Right.
They seem to be a victim of that addiction or that mental illness or that problem or that relationship, whatever, but then you go to that person who seems to be a victim of that problem and you say, hey, here's some freedom. Here's freedom from that problem. And what do? They go, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy. You're weird. You're weird. Get away from me. That's against, my religious upbringing. Right? What does that mean? That means that they seem like they're suffering as the victim of this problem. They seem like they're suffering because they're imprisoned in this problem. But then when you open the jail cell to them and show them there's a better way, you could be free, they go, no, thank you, and they shut the door. Okay? And stay in the prison. And you go, what? I thought for sure you wanted to be free. You've been complaining about being in this prison problem for so long. And then when freedom came for you, you shut the door. I don't understand at all. Well, you wouldn't understand unless you know that their deeper fear is the fear of being free. When I talk to a lot of clients and they are in relationships they've been in for a long time that it's like hell on wheels. All they do is complain, and then coming to me for help, and then I offer them another way of being free from that, and they never come back, or they say yes but. So what does that mean? That means that we think we're upset about the fear and the anger and the hatred and the limitation, but we choose that problem and that limitation because we're afraid of fear and afraid of release. And then when another answer comes, we reject it.
Right.
Okay. So it says, under the ego's dark foundation is the memory of God.
So imagine here we made the ego belief system, and here's love right here in the palm of my hand. Here's heaven. Here's happiness. Here's God. And then we made this belief system called, the ego belief system. And it's a thick foundation, this heavy, heavy foundation. That's what? Covering love. The Course talks at the beginning of the Course about one of the jobs of A Course in Miracles is to do what? To remove the blocks, the blocks to love's presence, to the awareness of love's presence. And that's what we're doing here, is we're learning to remove the blocks to our fears. We think our fear is the foundation, this big heavy foundation called the ego's belief system. But what we're really afraid of goes deeper than that. Under the ego's dark foundation is the memory of God. We can't even remember God because we have this whole heavy belief system that can be summed up in one word: fear.
Exactly.
And fear is covering the memory of the love of God.
Wow, isn't that deep? I love it. Leanna says, choose to look at this a different way. Exactly. Tricia said, I was afraid of death. Now I know the truth. Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We think we're afraid of death, but really we're afraid of life. Same concept here. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Seems like you're afraid of death, but really the I don't want to die is really the fear of eternal life that you have right now.
That's the perfect example, and that's how retarded this whole world that we made is if I'm afraid of death, then I think that death is the problem I need to fix.
Right.
But that's not the problem I need to fix. The problem I need to fix is over here, which is I'm afraid of life, as Anna said.
Exactly. I'm afraid to live.
Great example, Tricia.
Exactly. And that person who stays in that relationship where they feel imprisoned or limited or victimized, we think that person is staying because they're afraid of the backlash if they would choose to leave that person. So we think they're afraid of the hostility, but what we really see, when you really see what's going on, is you see that person is staying with that other person because they're afraid of their freedom. They're afraid to be free.
And their fear of their freedom is what got them in that relationship to begin with.
Exactly. Their fear of freedom.
They think they're a victim.
Exactly.
But if they weren't afraid of their freedom, they would have never, even considered that abusive relationship.
They would have said no on the first date, if they even got that far. They would say, no, thank you. Right? They would see that. So, like the Course says, I'm never upset for the reason I think. We're not afraid for the reason we think. We're not angry for the reason we think.
And then we wonder why. I love that example, baby. That's great.
Which one?
About like the abusive
relationship.
Because then we call them patterns.
Right.
I wonder why I keep having these same patterns. And if you look at the patterns, we think, well, the pattern is I need to stop falling in love with abusive partners.
Yes.
And we think that's the problem, and we're trying to fix the problem where the problem isn't.
Yes.
And we have to remember there's another way, and there's another way of looking at this, which is, I need to fix not the abusive relationship, I need to fix my abusive thinking.
My fear to be free.
Yeah, my fear to be happy.
What would I do with my freedom?
That something in me is telling me that I don't deserve this kind of life over here.
Right.
And so the evidence is in the pudding.
Yes, exactly. Proof is in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding, kids.
Go look in the pudding. Okay, so what we're saying is that under your ego's hatred, let's just say that.
Yeah.
Under your ego's dark hatred is the memory of God.
Of love, of freedom.
And this memory of God and love and freedom, that's what you're really afraid of. You're not afraid of this person who's going to hurt you and put you down and enslave you. You're afraid of your freedom. You're not afraid of your ego and your ego's dark hostility.
And their ego.
You're afraid of God.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
we walk around, I'm afraid of their ego. It's so
mean.
It's so rude.
It's scary. It's rude.
So controlling.
It's so controlling. I'm afraid of their ego. That's why I can't go be free and happy.
Oh yeah, well, have you ever considered that you're afraid of love, of God, of freedom, of happiness, of joy, of abundance?
You're crazy.
You are crazy.
You're a conspiracy theory freak.
Yeah, put on a silver
tinfoil hat. Exactly. Wow. So when you think that you're afraid to look at your ego because you don't want to look at the ego, thinking that your ego's hatred and darkness and fear is scary, just remember that's not what you're afraid of at all.
It's always something else.
There's always something else.
It's always something else.
Exactly.
And just remember when you go in with spirit to look at what your fears are and you're afraid of a situation. And a lot of times we don't bring our fears to spirit because we think we know what our fear is. And so we're telling spirit to fix, and imagine how ridiculous that prayer sounds to spirit. Hey spirit, fix this problem, and spirit knows that's not the problem. That's not the problem. And we're praying for an impossible prayer request for something to be fixed that ain't broke. What broke is over here, where the real condition of the problem is.
That's why it seems like sometimes our prayers for healing aren't answered. Because we're like, please repair my broken heart. And Spirit's like, and then Spirit answers you for what's really broken. But since Spirit's answer doesn't seem to match what you thought the problem, what you thought was broken, you don't hear Holy Spirit's answer.
Right.
You're like, heal my broken heart. And Spirit's over here going, that is not your problem. That's not your problem, but I'm still going to answer you, but you're not going to relate to it.
Right.
Because you think your problem is this, and Spirit knows your problem is this, so you're going to be answered just because you asked for help, but you're not going to recognize the answer. And
in the example of the abusive relationship problem where you think the problem is outside of you, with the partner, Spirit knows, even if Spirit were to be able to come in and override your will, what Spirit can't, but if Spirit wasn't to get rid of that relationship, Spirit knows that you'll just go get another substitute of some kind so that you can keep yourself away from love's presence. If it's not going to be that relationship, maybe you'll go get a job that'll keep you in fear and bondage,
or an addiction,
unhappy,
different
or an
addiction,
whatever. But it doesn't do any good to get rid of the perceived problem, and we're just going to go get a replacement problem to take over that problem, because the real problem is we're afraid of God, we're afraid of love, we're afraid of heaven, we're afraid of being happy.
Yes. Beautiful, exactly. And so it says, under the ego's angry foundation is the memory of God. And it is of the memory of God that you're really afraid. Now, why? Why in the world would we be afraid of the memory of God? God is just love.
That doesn't even make sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
Does it?
Why would we be afraid of God?
No,
why would we be afraid of God more than to be afraid of our ego?
This whole course author must not know what they're talking about.
I know.
Maybe would be afraid of God.
Maybe the course author needed a better editor.
Yeah.
You know, to edit out a few things that obviously.
Yeah. They should have edited this whole part out.
Totally. Maybe this whole section.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so why is it that we're more afraid of God than we are of the ego and all the ego's darkness? Why? How could that be?
Tell us.
Okay, because the memory of God, which is the memory of love, would instantly restore you to your proper place.
Wow.
And it is this, your proper place, that you have sought to leave. Woo.
So our proper place, which is to be united with God.
To be happy and
joined with heaven.
Yes.
This is what we are seeking to leave. This
yes.
is what we're struggling all the time to run away from. Like the prodigal son story.
Yes. I was just cracking up because Trisha goes, I recommend 24/7 Quinn hour. Trisha, did you hear? You need to listen to the end of today's Sunday's class. We were talking about you at the end of class today. So we were bragging on you and your 24/7 Course in Miracles healing solution remedy, which obviously has produced quite a magnificent transfiguration, I might say.
Transfiguration.
Yeah, transfiguration, exactly. And so, okay, so he says, why are we afraid of God? Because the memory of God would instantly restore us to our proper place in God, in peace, in completion and abundance. And guess what? Your fear of attack ain't anything compared to your fear of love. Not even close. Wow. Our fear of attack is nothing compared to our fear of love.
Because see, an attack from like the ego, we think we can handle that. But an attack from love, that would destroy it. What would be left of us? You know?
Nothing. He says, you would be willing to look up even upon your savage wish to kill you or others. You would be willing to look upon your savage wish to kill God's children if you didn't believe that it saves you from love. Woohoo! Dang, I would be willing to look upon that dark, scary, evil part of myself. I would be willing to look upon even that if I didn't believe that it saved me from love. Wow. But I don't want to look upon that part of me that has murderous urges, murderous thoughts. I don't want to look at that part of myself, but I would look on it. I'd be willing to do that even if I thought it saved me from love.
And think how silly this whole life is, that who would ever believe that a message would be preached and taught throughout the world that we need to be saved from love. Saved from love. Wouldn't love save us from something? You know, why would we need to be saved from love? But that's the message that the whole world teaches. The whole world teaches that if you don't dress right, then you're not going to be saved from love. Love's coming for you. Love's after you. Love's going to come and get you.
Condemn you.
But don't get you now, to get you when you die. And so we have always been believing that we need to be saved from what?
From love.
From love. How ridiculous is that?
Yes.
That at the end of life, or at the end of the day, that we need to be saved from love itself, That's the most ridiculous concept in the world, but yet, if you think about it, that's the exact concept that we've been taught and that has been taught throughout millenniums, throughout this earth, from the east to the west, to the north to the south. We've been teaching this curriculum that you need to be saved from love. And imagine, you know, the messengers of heaven going out, be saved from love. Saved from love. Shouldn't we be saved from a tornado or a hurricane, or be saved from hell? But no, you want us to be saved from love? Well, how do I get saved from love? And this organization over here has their whole list.
Well, just be really guilty all the time, and make sure that you project that guilt onto everybody else, and then attack them. So, beautiful. Yes, that's how it is in upside down crazy town, Cuckooville.
Yes.
It's an insane asylum called Earth. It's where everything is upside down and backwards.
Right.
You know, that's how it is in Crazy Town. It says, so it's saying that we have murderous urges within us. The ego is a murderous urge. Okay, in the guy with the mask of "I'm your friend." Okay, but because we have the ego's thought system within our mind, we have murderous urges within our mind. And we're like, ooh, I don't want anybody to know that I have murderous rage, you know, that I have murderous thoughts. I don't want anybody to know about that, so I hide that, right? But he's saying that it's not the fact that you have murderous urges that you're afraid of. It's the fact that there's the love of God, an unlimited love of God that's underneath your murderous urges that we're really afraid of. And we'd be willing to look upon our murderous urges if we didn't believe that our murderous urges saved us from love. We believe that our murderous urges, our murderous thoughts, our attack thoughts, save us from love. So we keep those attack thoughts. And how do we keep those attack thoughts? By not looking at them. We don't look at them. I don't have that. I only love everybody. I'm spiritual. Okay? He says, we have, because this wish to be saved from love has caused the separation.
Yeah.
That's how we got in this big old mess. That's how we got here to Crazy Town.
And that's why I'm saying it's so ridiculous. The wish to be saved from love, it's the most ridiculous wish that we could ever have.
Yeah.
We don't need to be saved from love.
Yeah.
We need to be saved from everything that we perceive as keeping us from love.
Yes. Everything.
Love is not the thing to be feared. Yeah. Love is to be embraced. Love is to be accepted. Of course, if we are afraid of love, which seems impossible, but according to the author of A Course in Miracles, we need to accept and look at the fact that we are afraid of love. And if we don't look at the problem, look at what can be seen, then it's not going to be corrected or fixed. It's just going to stay there. And that is what causes separation, is to think that we need to be saved from love. If I think I need to be saved from love, then of course that's going to, at least in my mind, if nowhere else, cause me to believe that I'm separated.
Yes.
Because I need to be saved from God. Oh, is this safety here? Is this safety here? What if I kill my brother? My wish to kill my brother, will that keep me from love? Surely that'll keep me from love.
That's what we think.
If I kill my brother,
that's what we think.
That'll keep love from coming around, coming to my neighborhood if I do this.
Exactly.
And I do these things because I'm more afraid of love than I am of the thought of killing my brother.
Yeah,
because I think that by killing my brother, it keeps love at bay. Love's not going to come around.
God's not going to love me, we think. Others aren't going to love me if I murder somebody. You know, we literally are more afraid of love than we are of murdering somebody. That is insane.
Because we think that murdering somebody
Saves us from
will
love.
ensure us a court date where we will be kept away from love.
Exactly.
And we want to be kept away from love, obviously, because we're terrified of God.
Exactly.
We're afraid of, what if God sends me to hell for what I did?
Well, and also the other reason that we wanted to be saved from love originally, the original fall, the original detour into fear, the separation.
The original problem.
The original problem is love wouldn't make us special. God wouldn't love us more than God's other creations.
Right.
And so we were like, I need to be saved from you, God. I need to, because you won't make me special.
Right.
And that's why we wanted to be saved from love. And that's why when he says, and it was that wish to be saved from love that caused the separation. That's why we left home. That's why we left heaven. Because we said, God, I just want you to make me more special than everyone else. And God said, what do you mean everyone else? And we were like, I'll go make a world and make a body where I can have something just for me. Well, you're not going to give something just for me, God? I'll go make something just for me.
And I'll make a world where there are differences.
Yes.
And there are inequalities. And there isn't all this stupid equalness.
And oneness and equality.
Yeah.
I want something just for me. I want something just for me. And I don't care if it's more wealth and beauty or if it's more suffering. As long as it's something more
or less
than everyone else.
I know that would be better if it was that way.
And God's like, oh my child, honey, you have no idea what you're asking for. You have no idea. You have it all. Just like every other aspect of creation, you have no idea that you have it all, but you're asking for less. You're asking for less.
Thinking that we're asking for more.
But exactly. We think we're asking for more, but what we're really asking for is loss, massive loss. And because God's love is infinite and infinite in its patience, God didn't punish us. He just said, okay, all right, well, I'm going to give you your higher self, and I'm going to give you the truth, and I'm going to give you a way back to sanity. I'm going to give you a way back to me love, when you are ready for it, when you want it. Okay? Yeah. And that's a truly loving creator right there. All right. So it says this wish to be saved from love is what caused the separation. And we have protected this desire we have protected the ego because we don't want the separation healed. Yeah. We have protected our hatred, our murderous wishes. We have hidden our murderous wishes because we don't want the separation healed.
And that one line there, if we just spent the whole class on that one line, that would be great. But that one line there, that's why from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, we hear over and over and over is a little bit of willingness, because that's a little bit of wantingness. And we don't want the separation to be healed because we think it's better, as I like how you were saying, if this person here, it's okay if they have more and I have less. We don't even care how it goes. We just love this whole idea
of separation.
Of separation, which is the same as to say inequality.
Yes.
In heaven, there was all equality. Everybody was loved the same.
Everybody had everything.
Everybody had the same. Everybody was equally loved, equally happy, equally joyful. And we just found that rather a little bit somewhat
boring.
Boring. And in our mind, this crazy mad idea came along that we believed that it would be, because of course we know better than God, it would be better if we didn't have all this equality. One of us should have more than one lesson. Every time that plays out, it keeps our game of separation going, and we love it like that. We love it this way. And until we come to understand, just like again an alcoholic, if they realize that they're not going to get healed because they don't want to get healed.
Exactly.
You can't heal somebody that doesn't want to have treatment or doesn't want or doesn't want the answer.
That's exactly
And until we want to get the healing, you know, we're just gonna keep reading this book till we're blue in our face or any other curriculum, because we have to want it. We have to have some willingness to go, all right. I am tired of this. I'm tired of this life of separation
and
from
suffering.
love, and always being in a world of hatred and bitterness,
suffering
and
loneliness and grievances and sickness. Exactly. That's why in the teacher's manual, in the section where it asks the question, how is healing accomplished? It says the first thing that has to happen before healing is accomplished is the understanding of what the sickness is for. You know, and so when you're looking at the suffering, instead of like, how do I get rid of the suffering, you're supposed to ask, what is the payoff in this problem to me, the one who's suffering? What's the payoff to me?
To keep this inequality going.
I get to be special. I get to get special attention. You know, I get to get special attention. I get to say, look at me, I'm suffering more than others.
Now, in the game, some days I'm the sufferer.
Yes.
But in the other days of the game, I am the one that wins the lottery, and you're the one that declared bankruptcy.
Exactly.
We have to keep switching our roles so that we can keep inequality going.
Exactly. Keep the separation going. Keep the game going. And really so that we can keep our pain going. We don't realize that we've got the pain and the suffering because it's serving a purpose for us. It has a payoff for us. It's keeping our specialness going. And we don't realize that we're suffering because we want it to accomplish something. And so we don't and so until we go, hey, what's the payoff for me in this?
And the suffering.
And what am I getting out of this? And realize we're doing it to ourselves to hide from our real freedom, our real power, our real love. Then once you look at your problem like that, then you are instantly restored to your natural state of no difficulty, peace, ease, and grace, right? Once you go, I am doing this to myself. This problem I am keeping and preserving because it's hiding my natural state, my peace, my power, my natural state. And I don't want that anymore. Now, until we do that, that problem just stays and either gets more complex or the form of that problem ends, and then we get another problem with a different form. Okay? That keeps us from our natural state of joy and freedom and peace and power. All right. So it says, you have protected your ego, or let's say you have protected this problem because you don't want the separation healed, which means you realize that by removing the dark cloud that obscures or that hides your love for your Creator would impel you to answer love's call and leap into heaven. Wow. That's why I don't want the separation healed. I don't want this problem healed.
Yeah, once you realize what the problem
is hiding,
or is, as you said, is for, then it uncovers it.
Yes.
And once it's uncovered, you would instantly leap
into heaven.
Into love, into love's arms, into heaven,
exactly.
into joy, into into happiness.
Completion and abundance. Completion and
Once
abundance.
you realize
heaven.
what the problem is
Yeah.
for, we think the problem is for that person is trying to, you know, upset me, take away something from me, you know, a million things.
Yes.
Anything but the real
It's
answer.
anything but the real answer.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. We don't want the separation healed. We want to protect our problem and our ego, because we realize that by removing this problem, the dark cloud that obscures love, our love for our Creator would impel us to answer our Creator's call and leap into heaven. So our Creator is always like, come back home to heaven right now. Come back home to heaven right now. You could be in heaven right now. Come back home to heaven right now. You don't have to wait for anything. You could come be in heaven, completion and abundance right now. You could be in your natural state right now. Come home to your natural state right now.
No, I'm busy killing my brother.
But I have a good reason.
Yeah, and I know by doing this you're going to stay away from me.
Exactly.
I'm afraid of you anyway.
Exactly. Dang. Now that really, that's what I don't. I'm never upset for the reason I think really means.
Right. Exactly. Good one.
Yeah. It says, we believe that our anger and attack saves us because it prevents us from hearing the call of love and leaping into a state of mind of completion and abundance, our natural state.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we believe that attack saves us. That's why we believe attack keeps me safe. Attack saves me. Attack keeps me safe. I need to attack. It keeps me safe.
Yeah, it keeps me
attack
from love.
saves me because it keeps me from love. It keeps me from heaven right now.
And you know
Heaven
love,
right here and now.
And you know love would beat me up if I went to love.
Yes, exactly.
That's what love does.
Yes. And it says, because still deeper than your ego's foundation, still deeper than your hatred's foundation, and much stronger than your hatred will ever be, is your intense and burning love of God and God's love for you.
God's burning love for you too.
Hunka burning love.
Yeah.
God's got a hunka burning love for us, and we have a intense and burning love of God.
And
that's what's really going on.
I love that because I talked to a few of my Christian community friends, and where there's scripture in their Bible that says all things work out for good, and then they have a comma,
a caveat,
a comma there where A Course in Miracles has a period. All things work out for good, period. The Christians have a comma in their Bible that says, to those that love God. And here we're hearing in A Course in Miracles, under all the rubble, under all of the confusion, under all of the misunderstanding, the truth of the matter is all of us love God. So that scripture is true.
Yeah.
All things work out for good to them who love the Lord their God, because we all cannot help but to love God. We all have not only a love, but a burning, passionate love for our Creator. It's in our very nature.
Absolutely.
It's in our makeup. And it's in our Creator's makeup and nature to not but be able to help, but to have a burning, passionate love for us, Creator's creation. It just makes sense that Creator would love and adore its own creation. That it made and partook in bringing forth. And yet, all things work out for good to them who love God, which is all of us.
That's right.
Meaning everything works out for good for all of us.
That's
if we
right.
only knew that.
Exactly. And who knew that all this crazy trauma, drama that we're experiencing in our life that where we're experiencing pain and hatred. Who knew that all of that is hiding our intense and burning love for God and God's for us? That's its purpose. That's what it's for. That's what it's there for. That's why we're keeping it. That's why we're preserving it. And that's why every time someone offers a better way where we could experience peace and joy, we say, that won't work. I've already tried that.
Can you imagine next time you're angry to remember instantly, this is me covering up and hiding my passionate love for God and keeping me from experiencing God's passionate love for me.
Yes.
That's what I'm using this anger for.
Yes, right. Wow. Now, if you said that about one of the angers,
yeah,
it would be gone.
Right.
Just like that. If you called it what it was for real.
What I do though is I don't say that. I don't remember to say that. I say I'm angry not because it's covering up my passionate love for God. I'm angry because of what you did.
Exactly.
That's
right.
That's what I think is behind the anger.
Exactly.
But which has again nothing to do with
not a thing.
And see how we're getting tripped up, folks? Is so then I try to go do what we talked about last class, which is control.
Yeah.
I'm going to now try to control what you did to make me angry, thinking that's going to fix the problem. When the problem is I'm afraid of God. I'm not, tripped up by what really happened. I'm using that as a bait and switch.
Exactly. Exactly. Beautiful. But if you said this anger has nothing to do with Anna or them or that, I made this to hide my intense and burning love for God and God's for me, it would have to disappear because you identified the source, you identified the cause, and then the effect is gone.
It almost makes me want to write it down.
I know, almost.
Almost. But my fear of God is keeping me from writing that little note.
Exactly. And then when you're like, well, I'm upset because of what you did, and then you attack that person, that's you making sure to preserve that problem because it's serving a purpose. That problem is serving a purpose. That hatred and that suffering and that murderous rage is serving a purpose. It's protecting you from something.
From love.
Yeah, something you fear even more than your murderous urge.
Wow,
what could be scarier than your murderous urge?
Something in me is truly afraid of God. Something in me is truly, truly fearful
of God,
of love, of heaven.
Yes.
Truly. And I'm using all of these things, anger, bitterness, guilt, attack. I'm using all of these things unknowingly knowing that love can't enter in where there's attack.
That's right.
Love can't enter in where there's guilt.
Yes.
And so I'm using all the acronyms, all the weapons that keep love from coming in. And I know what I'm doing.
Love.
Unconsciously.
Right.
Consciously, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
I think I'm just being angry because somebody spilled some milk. And now, it's got to be cleaned up, and you know how long that's going to take.
Exactly. And so now we're going to hear about why it is that we could possibly be afraid of God and love. God, which is love.
All right.
Ready? Okay.
Paragraph 4.
He says, remember we were talking about your intense and burning love of God and God's for you? Well, that is what you really want to hide. In honesty, is it not harder for you to say, I love, than I hate? Because, now why is it harder for us to say, I love, than I hate? Have you ever noticed? If you're to be honest, isn't it easier to say, I hate this, I hate that, I hate it when that happens, I hate it when that happens. Why is it that it's easier to say, I hate, than to say, I love? Okay? Why is that? Because The reason is we associate love with weakness, right? Everybody, we associate love with weakness. I'm in love with you, now I feel weak and vulnerable. I didn't feel weak and vulnerable before I fell in love with you.
Yeah, if you saw two people on a park bench kissing, holding hands, and you had to fight somebody, either the two kissing and holding hands, or the two sitting over there that are fighting, bickering, and they're angry and they're full of hate, which one would you pick? You would think the easier target would be the ones in love.
Yes.
But the ones that are full of hatred is strength.
Yes.
That's power. That's strong. I don't want to fight them.
Exactly. So he says the reason that we want to hide this powerful love that God has for us and we have for God is because we associate love with weakness and we associate hatred with strength, which then makes our own real power seem to us as our real weakness. And why is it that we associate love with weakness? Here's the reason. We could not control our joyous response to the call of love if we heard it. And the whole world we think we control would vanish. And so really love seems to be attacking our fortress because we're trying to shut out God, but God doesn't want to be shut out. And that's why our own real love seems like our own real weakness. Our real power, love, seems like our own real weakness because in the presence of love, we could not control ourselves.
Or the world that we think that we control would
vanish. So
and we love to
our feeling
of
being able to control ourselves would go, and so would the whole world that we think we do control.
Right.
And think being the key phrase there.
And that again is another keys here of why it's being hidden. Is we love this idea that we think we're controlling the world. We're making, what do we say?
I control my life.
I came here to make a difference.
I create my reality.
I just had to say I love Trish's little slogan there. We are pastos, meaning
We're so
instead of,
pastos.
yes. Something holes.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
But yeah, we the real truth of the matter is we love this feeling, this thought, this concept that we're controlling the world, and that's pretty special when you have part in controlling the world. And part of our fear again, if we come to God, what will there be for us to control?
Yeah.
Well, that's not very, we won't be special anymore. What will there be for us to manage?
We won't be special, won't be in control.
And
I don't want that. I'd rather be in hell.
And we are afraid of that because, again, we think that this specialness, this being able to control things, gives us happiness and joy.
And power.
Greater than if we didn't have any special place in the universe. If we were just boringly equal as everything is.
Exactly. Wow, that is so deep. So now we know why we are so freaking terrified of love and wanting to hide love and willing to hide love with suffering.
Because we're control freaks and we don't want to let and we don't want to lose it.
Because listen, when we've all experienced it where we were in the presence of someone that we were in love with, that we fell in love with, whether it was your baby that you first held in your arms, or your mate, or your best friend, or or whoever. Okay, when you are experiencing love for somebody, a passionate, burning, intense love for someone, you cannot control your joyous response. You can't say no to them. Even if it breaks all the rules, even if it's not good timing, when you are in the presence of someone that you fall in love with, you cannot control your joyous response to it, which means you can't now it breaks your control.
Right.
It breaks that illusion of I'm in control. I have control of my emotions. And so, and when you fall in love with somebody, it doesn't matter if it's against the law, if it's breaking the rules, if it's bad timing. It doesn't matter if they're with someone else or unavailable or whatever. It doesn't matter. When you are in the presence of someone that you love, you can't control your joyous response to them. You can't hold back. You know, you can't go, well, it's not really logical at this time, you know. And that's our fear. We don't want to feel out of control. You know, we want to feel like we can control our responses, okay? And so, and we believe that when we can't control our joyous response to love, that's weakness. When we're not in control, we're weak, is what we believe. And so that's our fear of love. I can't control myself in love's presence, and so love would make me weak. And but then being in the presence of the opposite of love, I would be able to control myself, and so I would be strong. So in the presence of love, I'm weak, I believe. In the presence of hate, I'm strong.
Yeah, and we think in the presence of love, I'm weak, because I can't be angry anymore at this person.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, in the presence of love, I'm strong, because it gives me the ability to overcome what was holding me back.
Exactly. And I often tell that story about how when I gave birth to Aria, of course I was like, I was experiencing the greatest love I'd ever known. I was experiencing an intense and burning love for this person like I'd never experienced before. And so here I am experiencing the greatest love I had ever known, and now I immediately felt the greatest fear I had ever known. I felt the greatest vulnerability that I had ever felt, you know, and it seems so conflictual. How is it that I'm experiencing the greatest love that I've ever known, but yet at the same time the greatest fear and vulnerability and weakness that I have ever felt in my life? And that's why, because all of a sudden here was a love I could not control my emotions around. I could not say no. And so because of what I learned, now I felt vulnerable, more vulnerable than I had ever felt. And that's our issue with love. And then, at giving birth to her, I realized, oh, that's what it means about our greatest fear is the fear of love. Oh, I get it now. Or when, you know, like when you and I first fell in love, it was like, here's the greatest love. But it was like, oh shit, what if I lost it? What if Greg died? You know, so here was this greatest love I was so grateful for, but all of a sudden I had a new level of feeling of vulnerability and fear, because now I'm vulnerable, because if Greg dies, then, you know, now whatever. So, you know, I can totally relate to what it's saying about our real fear is the fear of love, you know, because we've learned that love makes you weak, love makes you vulnerable, which means the greater the love, the greater the vulnerability, the greater the weakness. It's not that at all, but that's what we learned. All right. So, paragraph 5.
Forgot one more sentence.
I read that.
You did?
Yeah. So, you know, so it says, so love seems to be attacking our fortress. Love seems to be attacking our fortress. Because we're trying to shut our independence. Yeah. Love seems to be attacking our independence. Love seems to be attacking our strength, which is our control. Love seems to be attacking our illusion of control. Because we're trying to shut out love. But love doesn't will to be excluded. You know, how effective are your walls and your fortress walls going to be if you're going to shut out something that you can't shut out? You know, you build your wall and you find out that the thing is behind you. You know, we're trying to build up a fortress against God, against love. But God and love is everywhere. So, all right, it's paragraph 5. You have built this whole insane belief system called the ego because you think you would be helpless in love's presence or in God's presence. That's the deal. I feel like in God's presence, I would be helpless. I would be weak. I couldn't control myself. And so we're trying to save ourselves from God's love because we think God's love would crush us into nothingness. What do you mean, course? I mean, you're afraid of love, God's love, because you're afraid that God's love would sweep you away from yourself and make you little, because you believe that magnitude lies in defiance, which means you believe that attack is grandeur. And it means that you think you have made a world which love would destroy, and so you think that by loving God, which you do, you would throw this world away, which you would. And that's why we're afraid of God and God's love.
Yeah, we think this world gives us everything we want. It gives us a place that we can control things, that our opinions matter, that we can judge and be right about things even though we're not. And so we think this world offers us separation, which is what we want. Independence, what we think is great. We have our own independence. We can, it's like a teenager that feels like I have my own apartment now. And I'm afraid of mom and dad because I think if I go back to mom and dad, they'll take my apartment away, which I can't pay the rent, and I'm struggling paying the electric bill, and I'm having a hard time keeping food in the refrigerator. But I'm afraid that mom and dad's gonna come along and allow me to come back home to where I don't have to stress out about anything, that I just get to join them in the abundance of everything. But doggone it, I think that this independent life, which is so struggling, which is so painful, which causes me to make so much effort, is worth so much more than the abundance of having everything effortlessly. And how ridiculous that we just are caught up into this silly. Every time I read A Course in Miracles, I seem to read how utterly ridiculous and silly we are. It breaks it down to the ABCs of it.
Yes.
You know, you want your independence rather than really being independent.
Exactly, and the Course in Miracles says that you don't realize that your true autonomy and power comes from your complete dependence on God. You know, we're trying to establish our independence from God. See, I'm independent. I don't need you. I don't need love. I don't need anyone. Thinking that that's where our strength and our grandeur comes from. Not realizing.
The only time we want to come to God is when, like, you know, maybe I'm the Messiah. In other words, God needs me. Maybe I'm a prophet. Maybe I'm a pastor. Maybe I'm a teacher. We only want to come to God again when it's specialness, when I can be elevated, when I can be different, when I can maintain that world of illusion of independence. Look at, I'm controlling things.
Yes. Yeah, the Course says that all we want of God is we want God to confirm our specialness. That's what we want of God. Like, God, if you ain't going to confirm my specialness, then who needs you?
Right. Because I'm doing a fine job on my own.
Yes, as you can clearly see.
If you don't want to confirm it, I got plenty of other people that'll help me do it.
That's
including myself.
And you see how happy that's made us. All right. Okay, beautiful. So it says, paragraph 6, therefore you have used the world to cover your love. And so the deeper you go into the blackness of the ego's foundation, the closer you come to the love that is hidden beneath it. Oh, wonderful. So don't be afraid to go into the blackness of the ego's dark, murderous belief system. Don't be afraid to go look at your hatred. Don't be afraid to go look into your hatred. Why? Because the deeper you look into your ego's hatred, the closer you come to the love that is beneath your hatred.
Because the deeper you go into your hatred, then the closer you have to look at what the purpose of that hatred is.
Exactly. What it's hiding.
And when you see what the purpose is, that's you only got there when you went deeper into it.
Into your own, okay? It's not talking about go look at the hatred of others. It says when you look at your own, what's the first paragraph? You may wonder why it is so crucial that you look upon your hatred and realize how deep it goes, okay? So this is a path not in, oh, I don't want to see that, oh, positive thinking, positive affirmations. This is, of course, in Miracles is like, no, we're going to look deep into your hatred and to see how deep it goes.
Yeah, don't pretend like the hatred ain't there.
Exactly. And so many spiritual paths are just like, it's like positive affirmations on top, that you put on top of your hatred. It's like, we're not going to talk about our hatred, that's negative. We're just going to have positive affirmations and just say them over and over and hope that will somehow, replace.
Make the hatred go away.
Make the hatred go away.
Which will never do it, because I think the hatred is there again because of something that you did or said or whatever.
Right.
But I don't realize the hatred's there because it's covering up my fear of God.
Yes.
Not because of what you did. I'm just using that as an excuse.
Right.
But the real truth is, and that's why the deeper we go in, and I can see, the purpose has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me being afraid of God.
Yes.
Oh, I see. And then once you see that, now that I've gone deeper into the foundation of the ego's use of that, I have actually gotten closer to love, because I've gotten to the real source of the problem. Now I finally have gotten to the root of it, and I can pull it up by the roots. Yeah. If I just pull it up by trying to fix something out here with you or my job or wherever I think the issue is, I'm never going to pull it up by the roots.
That's right.
But if I pull it up by the roots by acknowledging what this problem is really purpose for, my fear of heaven keeping me away from that, now I have not only a chance but a solution for instant healing, and I love it instantly.
Exactly. It's like the beginning of the text where it says, "Herein lies the peace of God," and this sums up the course. That what is it? You don't need to seek for love. All you need to do is seek and find the interferences, the blocks to the awareness of love's presence in you.
Which is exactly that.
So this is, of course, this is a curriculum not in like, finding love. This is a curriculum in going and looking within yourself to find all the blocks to the awareness of love in you. And that means looking at your own hatred and looking down as far as it goes, as deep as it goes, to find what it's covering. To find what it's covering, which is the love. The love that the problem, the love that the hatred is covering. And it's finding this love that the hatred is covering up that frightens us. Why? Why are we afraid of love? Again, let's go again. Why? Well, it's because you can accept your insanity because you made it, but you cannot accept love because you did not. We're such arrogant past holes, It's like he says, you would rather be a slave of the ego than a child of God in freedom. Because our individual special death is more valued than our living oneness. In other words, what is given us, this freedom as a child of God, is not so dear as what we made. Dang, I'm afraid of love because I didn't make it.
And so I don't understand.
And so I can't accept love because I didn't make it. But this nightmare of guilt and fear and lack and suffering
that I made,
I can accept because I did make it.
And I understand it.
Well, isn't that special? He says, you are more afraid of God than of the ego. And love cannot enter where it's not welcome. But hate can enter where it's not welcome because hate enters of its own volition. That's because hate doesn't care for your volition. You don't care what you want. Love says, if you're more afraid of God than of the ego, then love can't enter because love doesn't enter of its own volition. Love has to wait on welcome. Love waits on welcome, not on time. And so, wow. He says, and so the reason that you must look upon your own hatred, your own delusions, which means the reason you must not keep your own hatred hidden, is that your hatreds don't rest on their own foundation. You know, when you look at them, you realize that don't make any sense. That's not logical at all. But when you hide your hatreds appear to rest on their own foundation, which means seem logical, and so your hatreds seem to be self-sustained. But that is the fundamental illusion on which your ego rests. Because beneath your ego and your hatreds, and concealed as long as your ego and your hatreds are hidden, is the loving mind that thought it made the illusions in anger. And the pain in this mind is so apparent when it's uncovered that the mind's need of healing cannot be denied. And none of the tricks and games that you have offered your mind can heal your mind. Because all the tricks and games you've offered your mind to heal your mind really was the crucifixion of your mind. That's what hurt your mind. Wow. So, yeah, so we'll stop there because it's 8:30. Yeah. All right. So you see what the healing curriculum here is through A Course in Miracles. The healing curriculum is in looking at your fear, looking at your hatreds, looking at those murderous urges, those attack thoughts that you have, looking at them and looking into them instead of projecting them or looking away from them. It's looking at them so that you can see what's beneath them, what the ego is hiding. And what the ego is hiding is an intense and burning love of your creator for you and you for your creator. You know, your own real love. And it's time to stop offering our minds all these tricks and games to heal them, you know, to distract ourselves.
The tricks and games are to try to fix the pain and everything outside.
Exactly.
If you take a moment tonight before you go to bed, between now and the time you go to bed, just take a couple minutes. That's all it would really take. Take a couple minutes and close your eyes and think about, just bring anything to your awareness, to your mind's eye that has been upsetting, that makes you angry, that makes you bitter, that's a conflict in your life, and then ask yourself the question, what is this anger in this story for? And the first answer will come really fast because we all know that the ego answers first.
Yes.
And we might say, well, this anger is coming from, you know, that person that's built the milk. And so I'm angry now that that milk is wasted and somebody's got to clean it up. And what will it do to the floor? And those are all the things we
Tricks
think.
and games.
We think those are the games that we think is what's making us
upset.
Is why the anger is there. And when we look at the anger, and then we say the truth, which is, okay, what is the purpose of that anger? Oh, it's not to get revenge on the spilt milk. It's not to make the person that spilt the milk feel guilty. The truth is that anger, I'm using that to keep my separation from God. And then that's when it brings it home for us, because we realize, oh, it doesn't have anything to do with the story I was telling myself. You see how that now we can finally get healed from it? Because that's how we do all of our stories, is we think that the anger, we think that the upset, the grievance, the bitterness, the fright, the terror is because of ABC. We don't ever say to ourselves, because that's the trick, that's the game. We don't ever seem to say to ourselves, it's because I'm trying to separate myself from God so that I can maintain my independence. And that's the truth of the matter. We don't ever say that. We always say it's because of what they did. It's because of what they said to me. It's because how they looked at me.
How they treated me.
And if they would have did to you what they did to me, you would be angry. No, the story is, and if they did to you what they did to me, you'd be using it too to separate yourself from God, just like I'm using it to separate myself from God. And then we would finally be honest about what's going on, and we would finally have a way that we can be healed from this misery trap that we've entrapped ourselves in, called an illusion.
Amen to that.
I love A Course in Miracles. The classes seem to get so wonderful and good every class. I love doing them. I get both Anna and I, if you could be around our house before these classes, we're like two little kids. We don't, years ago we used to have this like kind of woe is me, you know, what's gonna go wrong tonight? The lights are gonna,
the Wi-Fi,
lightning's gonna start happening outside. And now we're just like two little kids. We just feel like we're getting with our Papa Creator and getting ready to learn with you. So thank you so much for joining us and spending your time with us as you do every week. And what would you like to say in closing?
Well, I would like to say in closing, first of all, thank you for joining this healing circle and adding your beautiful, mighty energy to this healing circle. The more who join in this healing circle, the stronger these ideas expand and extend out into the world. So thank you for joining your power to this healing circle. And also in the class description of this video is the class schedule of the classes that Greg and I do. I do a class on Mondays at the Miracle Center in person and on Facebook, and Greg and I do a Sunday and Tuesday Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles on Facebook. And you see that class schedule in the class description. And also in the class description is a way to contact me if you would like to schedule a Miracle Psychotherapeutic session with me. I'm a holistic psychotherapist and a licensed therapist, and I also have a niche for folks who are Course in Miracles students, but who need some therapy or want some therapy, but they want it from a Course in Miracles perspective. You know, if I'm going to do some counseling, I know I would really like to have somebody who knows this thought system. Course in Miracles is the ultimate psychological healing modality, the ultimate, and I've studied a lot of them. So you can look in the class description for how to reach me to schedule that. And I appreciate you all so much. We appreciate you more than we can say. You guys save us every week.
And if you go on the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center, I believe on the website there you'll find just like today, often on Sunday afternoons at 12:30 at the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center downtown Denver. Anna teaches down there as well, so check on that website. If you just can't get enough of Anna, like I can't, and Holy Spirit channeling through that beautiful communication device, then come along on Sunday afternoons as well.
Yeah, if you're in Denver area and you're looking for a really super cool Course in Miracles group to connect with in person, come on down to the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center at 12:30 each Sunday. Love you guys so much.